Hi everyone, this is Allie with Nurse in a Skirt, and today I'm doing a UWorld review. So I'm going to go over why I chose UWorld, how I studied using UWorld, and some tips and tricks that I use to help me pass the NCLEX in 75 questions. So let's go. Why did I choose UWorld? I chose UWorld because so many people recommended it to me. I had people who were helping our class out with like lab stuff from previous classes who had already graduated recommend UWorld to me. I had people that I had known from other nursing school programs who graduated a semester before me, and they use UWorld, and they were like, just use UWorld. It's amazing. It's all you'll need. Another reason I chose to use UWorld instead of a content review like a Hearst review or a Kaplan review is because my last semester of nursing school, we did an exit exam through HESI, which basically told us how we were going to do on the NCLEX. It was a comprehensive exam. It was like 160 questions, 165 questions, I think. And basically, if you got 750, I think, to 850, then you needed a content review. But if you got 900 and above, then our professor basically was like, you're ready to take the NCLEX. You can take it like as soon as you graduate. So I was like, cool. Took the exit exam, got 995, I think. So that really kind of solidified my choice to just use UWorld. Final reason I chose to only use UWorld was money. I was super broke, still am. Haven't got a job yet, but it's coming. I know it's coming. I was super broke, and my husband like holds down the bills, all of that stuff. So like personal money, I just didn't have. So UWorld, I got a 3-month subscription with 2 self-assessments for $150. Now compared to a $500 Hearst review, it's pretty cheap. So that's why I did UWorld. How did I study with UWorld? So I had planned to study for at least a month before my exam, and we didn't get our ATTs, which is your authorization to test, until January 16th. So before that, I was a little unmotivated. I did maybe 50 to 75 questions a day, which I, really slacked off on. But once I got my ATT, I was doing 100 to 150 questions a day. Let me back up. So before getting my ATT and all that, when I graduated nursing school and I had like this amazing study plan, what I'd done was I took how many questions were in the Q bank, which is 2,100 roughly, and I divided it by 30 because that's how many days I expected to study for the NCLEX. And it was however many questions a day. That's how many, I think it was only like 50 questions a day or 60 to get the whole Q bank done by the time I took my NCLEX. So that is the study plan I would suggest. I didn't follow that study plan, and I wish I would have, because that would have given me time to really, I did look in depth over all the rationales, but it would have just given me time and less stress and all of that. So my recommendation for studying with UWorld is take how many days you're gonna want to study. So like if it's 2 weeks, then you're gonna have to do like, I don't know, like 150 to 200 questions a day, which when you do UWorld, you realize that's very unrealistic, because with every single question you get an amazing rationale, and you want to read through the entire rationale, because it gives you not only information on the subject that you're being tested on in that question, it gives you a lot of good information on other subjects and other things. So yeah, don't just like, I say a month is perfect amount of time, enough time, the perfect amount of time to give yourself to take your NCLEX. So how I studied as well is you have like concepts, which is like leadership and management, adult health, pediatrics, OB, pharmacology, fundamentals, and I would just choose like one concept, and then you have systems. So like adult health, and then you go down to systems, and you can do like cardiac, respiratory, GI, GU, and I would just do like 25 to 50 questions on each system. And this really, because you're getting asked different questions, but kind of like the same content over and over, and so it really solidifies that concept in your brain. So I suggest doing it that way. Don't do 75 questions with all concepts and all systems for every test that you take on UWorld. I think taking a specific concept and then maybe 1 or 2 systems that you want to focus on for like 50 to 75 questions, I think personally that helps because it helps solidify the content on one subject more. So like I would do just peds and OB one day, just all peds and OB, and then I would do like just adult health cardiac one day, or I would just do you know, pharmacology I kind of just did it all because, you know, it was easier that way for me, but like leadership and management for one day, you know. So just don't try and do it all at once, just really narrow it down. And then what I also did is after a test, I went back and skimmed through all the incorrect questions I got wrong, read all the rationales for every incorrect question I got wrong, and that really like sealed things in my brain too. So what I also did is you can make flashcards. I love this. This is why I love UWorld, because they have a ton of great features. So every time I would answer a question wrong, I would make a flashcard about that question. And then even if I got a question right and I knew I didn't really understand it the way I would like to understand it, I would make a flashcard for it. And then you can go back and look through your flashcards. You can make like specific decks. It's awesome. And then you can also quiz yourself using only questions and you can mark questions. So like if you feel like you didn't really understand a question or you need to work more on that subject, you can mark a question and you can make a quiz just out of all the questions you marked, or you can make a quiz out of all the questions you missed. So I started doing that a little bit too. And then one more tip on how to use UWorld to study. One of my weaker points is pharmacology. So I would study like maternity neonatal beads, you know, all day, and then do 25 questions on pharmacology at the end of a study day. And I did that pretty much every day, and that really started helping me with pharmacology because even though that wasn't my subject for the day, I still was hitting on it every day, so it was just helping. So if you have a subject that you're like kind of weaker on, just do 10 to 25 questions on that subject a day, and I promise it will make a difference. It will make a difference. Answering those NCLEX style questions, man. UWorld will really help you learn how to answer the NCLEX style questions because you'll start seeing patterns. You should already know those patterns already after being in nursing school, like use ADPI, use Maslow's hierarchy of needs, use, you know, just simple prioritization methods. So, and I will make a video about those for those of you in nursing school right now who aren't getting information on that. And UWorld, I love UWorld because it will help you practice those NCLEX style, you know, NCLEX test taking techniques. So that's another reason why I recommend UWorld. And then how I passed the NCLEX in 75 questions, man, I think doing all those practice questions made me really comfortable with going in and just, you know, taking those NCLEX style questions, in my opinion. If you need a content review, do a content review, but don't just do a content review. Do practice questions, whether it's from a Med-Surg Success book, Saunders, you know, whatever source, UWorld. I just would recommend UWorld out of all of them because it has really challenging questions that really make you understand the, you know, the subject, and then it provides those awesome rationales that are pretty much like even better than a textbook, honestly. I learned stuff that like I did not learn in nursing school on UWorld. So there's that too. But overall, I would say doing practice questions really helped me on the NCLEX, not second guessing myself, going with my gut. And then on questions that kind of freaked me out, that I was like, I don't know. I just, you know, critically thought about it as much as I could, but I didn't stick to one question. Another thing, I focused a lot on pathophysiology while using UWorld, but also touch on your leadership and management too while studying for the NCLEX, because that is on there. And if you haven't studied leadership and management, it'll get ya. It freaked me out. I still passed, but still, I think if I would have gotten through all my leadership and management questions on UWorld, I would have felt a little bit more comfortable in the test. So, another tip, let me just talk about the day of and a couple days before the test. I set myself up for success to have the majority of my UWorld questions done. By the time I got my ATT, I realized like, oh, I'm taking my test in a week. I'm not gonna have all the UWorld questions done. So I just did as many as I could, and then 2 days before the test, I really started to relax because I took one of my self-assessments that UWorld provides, which basically it's only 75 questions and it's like a comprehensive exam that reflects the NCLEX. I took that exam 2 weeks, sorry, let me back up. I took it 2 weeks before I, was gonna take my NCLEX. And it said I had a high chance of passing and it was 54%. Now with UWorld, if you are getting 50% or above, you're doing good. And I know that's really weird to hear because, 50% to us, it's an F. But no, with UWorld, the questions are more challenging and, that means you're doing better than 50%. So to pass the NCLEX, you need to get 50% of the medium difficulty questions right. So if you think of it that way, if you're doing 50% or more on UWorld, then you're doing fine. Like, that means you are passing the NCLEX. So when I took my second self-examination on UWorld, I took it like 4 days before my NCLEX, and, I was freaking out while taking it. I was just like, okay, just like, do your best. You know how to take this test because you've done like 1,500 NCLEX style questions. Like, you should know this by now. I took it and my score was 76%, and it said I had a very high chance of passing the NCLEX. So, like 2 days before my test, I stopped doing practice questions and I went over every single flashcard I made from the UWorld Q banks. And then the day before my test was a Sunday, so I just relaxed, went to church, just had a nice day. And then I scheduled my test to take it like 30 minutes away from where I live at 2 p.m. Which, you guys, if you go as close to where you live as possible, if it's an hour or more away, try to get a hotel the night before because you just don't want anything to stress you out on the day of your test. So it was nice. That's why I scheduled it at that time too, so that I would have time to like sleep in, make breakfast. My husband and I drove up. He just waited on me while I did the test, and then afterwards we went to dinner, and he was just trying to calm me down the whole time. So yeah, just practice questions, you guys. I could not recommend UWorld enough. I know it's the reason why I did so well on my test. And when I got to that 75th question, I was like, all right, don't freak out if you don't click out at 75, because if you do, you can get in your own brain and freak yourself out. Don't do that. If you click on, if you don't click out at question 75, just keep going and believe in yourself. But my test clicked out and I was like, okay. So it's an amazing feeling when you pass. It's so worth it, and you guys are gonna do great. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel, hit a like down below, and I will link a UWorld study guide that is perfect. It tells you when to do the questions, and then it has a review at the end of it that is just basically a review of everything. Use this study guide. I was given it like a week before my test, so I couldn't use it, but it is amazing if you want to get through all the questions in 1 month and have like 5 days of review before the test. If you do this, you will be ready. Don't worry about it, guys. All right, thank you for watching, and good luck on your nursing success.